Hello and welcome. In my previous lectures, I have highlighted geography as an integrative study, the interaction of man with the physical environment, the distribution of people in different parts of the world, the demographic attributes, and rural and urban dichotomy. We also pondered on the fact that the population is growing rapidly and its impact on the nature is not so favorable. For the development of a country, there are a combination of factors operating simultaneously: growth of the population and development of a country. Growth and development. Let us pause and try to understand, do the growth and development mean the same? Do they accompany each other? Let us learn more about it in the light of human development. Yes, this concept was the inception by Dr. Mehboob-ul-Haq, a Pakistani economist, and Professor Amartya Sen, an Indian economist. Development is slightly different from the growth. Growth is the quantitative and value neutral. The change can be either positive or negative. That is, it can show an increase or a decrease. On the contrary, development is qualitative, the change which is always value positive. Development does not indicate towards increment or addition. It occurs when positive growth takes place. Yet, positive growth does not always lead to development. For instance, with the increase in the number of people in a city, we say that the city has grown. However, there is a mismatch between the population growth and the infrastructure of the city. Infrastructure as in the housing facilities, the medical facilities, the hospitals, the roads, the transportation facilities, etc. The infrastructure of that city, then we cannot say that the region has developed. I hope the difference between the growth and the development is clear to you. Hence, a country's development is not measured in terms of its economic growth. The development in country may not change the life of the mass. Development is not measured in terms of monetary increase. Nonetheless, the quality of life, the opportunities they have, the freedom they enjoy are the pivotal of human development. This new concept of human development came into the world in the late 80s and early 90s by the two economists I have just mentioned, Dr. Mehboob-ul-Haq and Dr. Amartya Sen. It enlarges the people's choice and improves their lives. We will learn the approaches and the 4 pillars of human development in the coming lecture. I am inspired by Dr. Haq's ability to think out of the box. In one of his speeches, where he quoted saying, "You know things that are and ask why, but I dream the things that never were and ask why not." Professor Amartya Sen's main objective of development was increase in freedom. The major areas in human development are access to resources, that is, having enough means to be able to live a decent life. Second, health, leading a long and a healthy life. And third is education, which means being able to gain knowledge. The combination of these 3 enlarges the sphere of people's choice. The 4 pillars of human development are equity, sustainability, productivity, and empowerment. Equity. It refers to the concept of justice and impartialities and incorporates the idea of distributive justice, particularly in terms of access to opportunities. The people who have unequal opportunities due to various reasons may require preferential treatment or affirmative action, special time-bound attention. For example, the socially and economically backward people are a dropout of school. It is evident how the choice of these groups get limited by not having access to knowledge. The second, sustainability. It means consistency or continuity. It is like judicious planning so that the opportunities are availed by many generations. As the economic development is an ongoing process, the human choices should also be ongoing. It should be passed on from one generation to other as a heritage. Environmental sustainability implies achieving developmental results without jeopardizing the natural resources base and biodiversity of the region, and without affecting the resource base for the future generations. One cannot be selfish, but one has to be sensitive. Financial sustainability refers to the way in which development is financed. Specifically, development should not lead countries into debt traps. Social sustainability refers to the way in which social groups and other institutions are involved in ensuring participation and involvement and avoiding the disruptive and destructive elements. Cultural liberty and respect for diversity are also important values that can contribute to socially sustainable development. In the previous chapter, we learned the importance of women's education, how it affects the other spheres of the society. Hence, if a community does not stress the importance of sending its girl children to school, many opportunities would be lost to these young women when they grow up. It will squeeze their career choices. There won't be many avenues open for them and adversely affecting their lives. So, each generation, yes, we emphasize on each generation. So, each generation must ensure the availability of choices and opportunities to its future generations. And the next one is productivity. It is about building capabilities in humans' choices. We need to provide them with better facilities. The attention paid to distributive justice, however, is not at the expense of efficiency in the system. Efficiency is conventionally defined as the optimal use of existing resources. From a human development perspective, efficiency is defined as the least cost method of reaching the goals through various interventions that maximize opportunities for individuals and communities through optimal use of human, material and institutional resources. It is necessary to demonstrate that the chosen intervention is the one that offers the best results in enlarging choices and enabling optimum use of opportunities by the people. When applying this principle, one must conceive of efficiency in a dynamic concept as what is efficient at a point and many times not to be efficient in the long run. Empowerment. It is the power to make choices. The effective and people-centered government policies are required to empower the people. In the human development approach, people are both the ends as well as the means of development. Empowerment is about processes that lead people to perceive themselves as entitled to make life decisions. It is about the freedom to make decisions in matters that affect their lives, whether at the level of policy making or implementation. This principle implies that people need to be involved at every stage, not merely as beneficiaries, but as agents who are able to pursue and realize goals that they value and have reason to value. The major problems of human development gives an entry to look for the approaches. Here are the 4 approaches. The income approach. This is one of the oldest approaches of human development. It is linked to income. This is based on understanding that more income means more of all things that human beings need. The idea is that the level of income reflects the level of freedom an individual enjoys. Higher the level of income and the higher the level of the human development. The second one is the welfare approach. The approach considers human beings as beneficiaries. The government must spend more money on providing education and health facilities for all the individuals. And the third one, people are not participants in development, but only passive recipients. The basic needs approach. The main features of the basic need approach is, this approach was initially proposed by the International Labour Organization. 6 basic needs of people are health, education, food, water supply, sanitation and housing. The question of human choices is ignored, and the emphasis is on the provision of basic needs of defined sections. Next one is the capability approach. This approach is associated with Professor Amartya Sen. It favors an increase in freedom as the main objective of development. It favors the role of social and political institutions and processes in increasing the freedom. So, here we have learned about the 4 approaches. In 1990, the United Nations Development Programme, that is known as UNDP, transformed the landscape of development theory, measurement and policy with the publication of its first annual Human Development Report, HDR, in the introduction of the Human Development Index. HDR 1990 presented the concept of human development as progress towards greater human well-being and provided country-level data for a wide range of well-being indicators. The UNDP's establishment of the HDR expanded both the availability of measurement and comparison tools used by the government, NGOs, the researchers, and our common understanding of development itself. The HDI, that is, the Human Development Index, revolves around the thrust area of health, education, and access to resources. Capability approach. The core focus of the capability approach is on what individuals are able to do. This world map indicates the Human Development Index based on 2013 data, which was published on 24th July 2014. Here we see the highest HDI, Human Development Index, can be seen in North America and mainly in Canada and in USA. We also see Australia in the same category, where most of the European countries also lie in the higher rank. Looking at this map, we can easily adjudge the countries with different Human Development Index. These 2 world maps indicate the categories by country based on 2013 data, which was again published in 2014, July 24th. The following list gives us the 15 countries ranking high in Human Development Index. Have a look at it. Gross national happiness is a term coined by His Majesty the 4th King of Bhutan in the 1970s. The concept implies that sustainable development should take a holistic approach towards notion of progress and give equal importance to non-economic aspect and well-being. The gross national happiness concept has inspired a modern political happiness movement through the contribution of several Western and Eastern scholars, economists and politicians. The concept evolved into a socio-economic development model that was adopted unanimously by the General Assembly in July 2011, placing happiness on the global development agenda. The 4 pillars of gross national happiness philosophy are sustainable development, preservation and promotion of cultural values, conservation of the natural environment, and establishment of good governance. The values by the 2 economists are being followed by the developed nations, but there is a long way to go for India. The proportion of people below poverty line is still 26% in 2000. The scheduled castes and scheduled tribes are the ones who are hit by the poverty, hindering the HDI to notch up. The problem is not the planning, but the implementation is not very effective. Not only poverty, also the illiteracy is a problem area. Bihar, a state in northern India, has only 47.53% of literacy. If we glance at the world map, we find that most countries have medium index value. There are 88 countries in this category. These are the developing nations. Nevertheless, they are trying to improve their lives and the levels of the humans by adopting people-oriented policies and reducing social discrimination. And the countries with low HDI are 32. The reason for their failure in the attempt to grow are numerous. These are political turmoil, social instability, civil war, famine, high incidence of diseases. High HDI can be attained by assessing the government expenditure on social sector, the political environment of the country, and when people have freedom to have more choices. In this lecture, we have learned about the approaches, pillars, and ranking of human development across the world. In the next lecture, we will learn about the sectors of occupational sector. Thank you.